I'd like to share my thoughts on this hat. This is the tin cloth packer hat from Filson's, and I bought it about 2 years ago, and I've been wearing it a lot over those 2 years. And over those years I've noticed there's some really great things about it, and maybe some things that if I had a chance to change, I would change about it. First thing I really like about it here, living in the Pacific Northwest, is of course in a given day we can have rain, we can have cold, we can have heat, we can have sun, and this hat sort of covers all the bases. Being that it has a waxed canvas type of finish to it, it does help repel the water. Is it completely waterproof? Pretty darn close to it. I've only had a couple times where in really heavy pours that maybe a drop or two of water have sort of seeped in some of the seam areas, but that could also be just because maybe I need to spend more time waxing it. In terms of the overall coverage, the brim is not the widest brim that they offer in this type of hat, but it's still good enough to give fairly good coverage to the face and the neck in most rain and sun conditions. In terms of the overall construction, it is a fairly sturdy hat. We're not talking just your normal cotton sun hat, because this is impregnated with wax, and you can wax it over time to maintain its ability to shed the water. The brim is fairly stiff, and you do have the ability to mold it a little bit for your own needs and whatever style you want to have out there. So let's have a closer look at some of the features. So as we start to look at the hat, we can see that certainly we do have areas of stitching, but I find the stitching is to be of a fairly high quality. There's only one or two places where I could actually see loose stitches. And not, I shouldn't say loose stitches, but where the hit didn't quite trim them completely. But I think that's a minor thing, because I don't think it functionally has an impact on the hat. Overall, when you look at the amount of stitching in here, the construction of it, it's a well-built hat. Now, where is it made? It is made in the US, but unlike the older versions of this hat, it is actually made with imported materials. We can see that the feature of the hat is this brim. It's about 2.5 inches, the brim. We also have a leather band that goes around. Now, some posters have said on more recent reviews of this that they found that the leather brim was lifting over time. I've never noticed that on mine, despite all the wearing I've been doing to it. We also have ventilation holes on both sides. So even though it tends to be a warmer hat, I wouldn't necessarily wear this hat on a really hot day, you know, where you're up into the 80s or the 90s. I choose definitely another hat. But it is nice to have these vent holes that are available to you. When we look inside, we can see that there is a cotton band. And once again, you can see that the stitching is well spaced, it's well placed, and I don't see any missed stitching within there, which you would hopefully expect from a Filson's product, because you are paying a bit of a premium for this compared to some others. And as we look in here, we can see that the material is really well done. You can see we have the Filson's label within there that is sewn in, and also we do have the description label that we have here. And this one is, I believe, an XL, and it's in this stone sort of tan type color. How often do I have to maintain it? I find that about once a year I do it, just because I know. And when do I do it? I usually do it at the end of the summer as I start heading into the fall, and I know it's going to experience much more rain. Just takes a couple minutes. You can get products from Filson's or other people to treat the cloth, and once I've done it, it seems to be good to go. Overall, am I happy with this purchase? I'm very happy with it. Do I have other rain hats? Yes, I do, and I will do a video on some of the other choices that I use when I'm outside here in the Pacific Northwest. I do spend a lot of time in the woods, either hiking or in the winter, cross-country skiing, backcountry skiing, and snowshoeing. So this is a great hat for around town, also in the woods. And one of my other videos, I'll look at some options in terms of Gore-Tex brimmed hats, which have a slightly different use. But overall, happy with this. Yes, I am. Now, what are the downsides to it? As I said, downsides are you have to do some maintenance. So if you want a hat that you will have for years and walk away from and never have to touch, could you do it with this one? Sure. You may lose a little bit of the water repellency over time. The maintenance, couple minutes a year at the most. And very easy to do. You just rub on the paste wax that you have. You just let it sit. You know, the instructions are there. A couple minutes of your time. And I think there's something really, really down to earth when you are working with your equipment. First of all, make sure that, you know, by working with the equipment hands on, you really get a sense as to, you know, is the equipment really holding up? And you really get to know it. So I actually enjoy that aspect. So if you're looking for a hat that I think works well in many social occasions, out there, either in the city or out there in the woods, protects you from some sun, protects you from rain, I would highly recommend this one. All right, thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll see you in some other reviews.